Hey guys, Neptune here, and today we have a very interesting and special topic. I'm rebooting the weapon analysis series, and I will be discussing and explaining how DLC weapons work, what makes them strong, and how to counter them. Today, we take a look at the follower Sabre, the notorious Carthus sword killer, or is it? But before we get into the action, I have a small disclaimer for you. It's not me being cancer or spreading the cancer. It's really not. It's FromSoft. They have created this. I am not responsible for you dying to it. No. All I have to do with it is just trying to explain to you how it works, what makes it strong, and how to deal with it. And if you think that Carthus Sword or Washing Pole are dishonest and cancerous, just uninstall the game, because I can tell you right now, this weapon is worse for you, and it will be all over the arena, abused left and right. However, if you want to learn how to deal with it, this is the video you want to be watching, so please pay close attention to everything that I'm saying. Now that we're done with the disclaimer, let's take a look at its moveset to see if there's anything unique about it. And sadly, there's nothing unique about it. We have seen it all before with Carthus Sword. You have lightning fast R1 swings that cover a lot of space and have very good reach. You have very nice dashing attack that can clip you from afar. Then you have garbage rolling attacks and R2s, so nobody's gonna use them. But what makes this weapon unique then? Why do people call it Carthus Sword Killer even though the DLC has not been officially released yet? Well, you can probably guess the answer. It's weapon art, and its weapon art is... My god, this weapon art is glorious. This is one of the fastest attacks in the game. Not only that, it deals incredibly high amount of damage. Just weapon art chained into the R2 is one of the highest damaging combos in the game. Just 2 hits, just that. Then there's another problem. The R2 finisher actually has hyper armor, and it has a lot of hyper armor, meaning that even if you whiff the weapon art, you can still land R2 as a trait, and it still deals enough damage to actually win the trait. Not only that, if you whiff the weapon art and then land R2, next R1 is a combo. So basically, however you mess with the weapon art, you're dealing fuck ton of damage. And this is one of the problems. This is what makes this weapon problematic. This is what makes this weapon really hard to deal if you can't properly roll. Before I get into how to use it and how to deal with it, let's clear some misconceptions about it. First one being that it's an instant guard break. Don't trust the description. Don't trust the people that tell you that it's an instant guard break. Don't listen to anyone. It's not. Yes, it takes a fuck ton of stamina to block it, but as you can see, you can block it. It's not like straight sword weapon art that instantly breaks your guard on impact. So no, there is no guaranteed guard break on weapon art. Second thing, the weapon art is not a combo. R1 R1 weapon art or R1 weapon art is not a combo. It does not combo you. Yes, it's a roll catch and we will talk about it just a bit later. But for now, all you need to know that this is not actually a true combo, and people that tell you that it's a combo are terrible players and you should never listen to them. With that covered, let's try to compare it to Carthus Sword, its closest neighbor and ex-king of meta. Let's see if it stacks up well against it. First thing you need to know is range. Well, technically Carthus Sword is just a tiny bit longer. It has a pixel over the saber. But under normal circumstances, chances are you're not gonna notice the difference, so it's more or less irrelevant. Next thing you should be concerned with is attack rating. Here it's pretty clear Carthus Sword has an advantage over the saber. It's not much, it's 12 AR, but this means that you are guaranteed a trade win if trade happens, and curved swords really love making trades. Next up is stamina consumption, and Carthus curved sword loses a point to saber, because you can do one more swing with the saber. So it's 6 with Carthus curved sword and a roll, and it's 7 with the saber and a roll. Something worth mentioning is that Carthus curved sword has an innate bleed modifier, which can be very useful if you're facing a turtle with a shield. However, Sabre gets nothing. So it's definitely a point in favor of Carthus curved sword, and it looks like Carthus curved sword is clear favorite. You may ask, what really makes Sabre that good in competitive environment? And my answer is mix-up potential on roll catches. Sabre offers unprecedented level of roll pressure. Due to the nature of its weapon art, in order to dodge it as a mix-up, you have to delay your roll. This gives your opponent a window to alter between R1 and weapon art, and in perfect conditions you can roll catch people with it forever. Sabre offers so much roll pressure, chances are your average PvP player will not be able to deal with it. We are leaving the era of 300 damage Carthus curved sword roll catches, and we are entering the new era of 800 damage weapon art combos with Sabre. This is the moment when you have to learn to roll on reaction like big boys do, because that's the only way you're gonna survive it. First I'm gonna show you the way most people will use it and how they will abuse the weapon art. And it's a two-handed swings into the weapon art. You can do 1R1 if you're smart and chain it into the weapon art. So what happens if you just panic and mash the roll? You get absolutely demolished. You take an R1 and then weapon art combo totaling up to 1000 and something damage. And keep in mind, you can't be embered on arena, which means that with a simple use of resin, this follower Sabre setup, the R1 into weapon art, roll catch and then R2 finisher, is within one shot range, and most players will likely get one shot by it. So how do you deal with it? Well, learn to roll properly. You have to learn to roll on reaction. This means you don't mash the roll button. When you start mashing the roll button, you're basically dead. The moment you start mashing the roll button against this weapon, after you get hit by R1, you are dead. Just consider yourself dead. Because this thing hits hard as a fucking truck, and it expects you to mash the roll and fucking get wrecked. What you need to do instead is calm roll tap. You have to wait till the stagger wears off and then you roll. Not mash it, wait till the stagger animation wears off and then you roll. This is how you get away safely without using shield. Now, if you have a shield, things get easier. If you got hit by R1, tap, mash the roll, whatever, then block the next hit. So you're blocking the second hit in the weapon art, and then you can roll away safely. If your opponent just spams the weapon art, you can block the first hit with the shield, then roll and then block the R2 follow-up. You should have just enough stamina with the Black Knight shield to block all of that and get away without taking any damage. The moment you learn to roll properly, things get a lot easier because you can safely dodge the weapon art. And without its weapon art, it's basically a baby Carthus curved sword, and you can deal with it in the exact same way as you deal with Carthus curved sword. So you just don't take any trades, try to stay out of range and learn to whiff punish it. I suggest you practice with a friend and try to nail the timing on how to roll away from the weapon art and how to dodge it safely. You can't whiff punish the weapon art because R2 on it has hyper armor. And the R2 finisher is not something you want to mess with, because it deals a lot of damage. Now I know some of you will be like, hey, it's not that easy to deal with Carthus curved sword, and I actually agree with you, because despite follower Sabre being seen as one trick pony with its flashy weapon art, and the most mediocre players will probably try to spam it in your face, it's still an excellent top tier weapon, and it's just tiny bit worse than Carthus curved sword. And you don't want to make mistakes against this weapon. Because if you get roll caught by Carthus Sword, you take 300 damage and you roll away. If you make a mistake against Follower Sabre, you take a weapon art that deals 800 damage and you're very, 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 very close to being dead the next mistake you make. And that's the problematic part of this weapon. The weapon art just deals too much damage. If only FromSoft would halve the damage of the weapon art, that will be great. But as of now, the damage on weapon art is just absurd. It takes one mistake, one tiny difference in the latency to fuck you up completely. So basically guys, all you need to know when facing an average player with this Follower Sabre fancy one trick pony weapon art spamming machine. First thing, do not trade with it because it's still an excellent curd sword, and curd swords in Dark Souls 3 love trades. Next thing, learn to roll away. Learn to roll away after you get hit by R1, learn to roll away after you got hit by the weapon art. Learn to roll properly and on reaction. Practice with your friends, this is gonna save you. This will save you multiple times. This is how you get better at Dark Souls 3. And at this point it's critical, because I can guarantee you with the release of DLC and Arena in few hours, it will be all over it. You will encounter billions of players just smashing the weapon art and doing stupid shit because of how easy it is to abuse, especially on Arena when you don't have Ember. So learn to roll properly. Third thing, you learn to estimate the ranges and try to play to your advantages. Just bait the whiffs, just punish the whiffs. This is how you safely deal with basically every weapon in Dark Souls 3 because it's such a simple game. If you can nail those three things, you're good to go, you're golden. Now, this is the point in the video where we move on from how to deal with it against the average player and how average player will try to abuse it, to how I use it and how I see this weapon. And this is my vision, and this is what makes it so annoying to deal, and this is what makes it so broken. And I prefer to use this weapon with the Black Knight shield. This is the most unique weapon that encourages the most unique playstyle in Dark Souls 3 up to date, because despite it being baby Carthus sword, it actually plays completely different if you pair it with a shield. When I use it with Black Knight shield, I get instant access to weapon art whenever I want, because Black Knight shield is a weapon skill shield, so the moment I press Alt2 I get weapon art going. What makes it unique, you may ask? It's the fact that it's probably the best weapon for turtling that we have ever seen in Dark Souls 3. Because it has the best moveset of all weapons that can be normally used with a shield. It has good AR when one-handed, it has sick dashing attack, it has good R1s with decent reach, and has a mix-up potential with the weapon art. All of the weapons that we had before for turtling were weaker in one way or the other. For example, Dark Sword. You can turtle with the Black Knight shield and Dark Sword. It has good reach, it has decent attack rating. The problem is, it has crap dashing attack and it doesn't have any mix-up potential. The weapon art on Dark Sword is garbage. Okay, let's take a look at Astok, for example, another very good weapon for turtling with Black Knight shield. You get shield pokes, great, but it has completely garbage dashing attack and weapon art is more or less useless. Follower Sabre doesn't suffer from any of it. Follower Sabre is literally the perfect weapon for turtling. I can just sit there forever with the Black Knight shield, which means that I don't care about your dashing attacks with washing pole, I don't care about your avalanche no scopes or throwing knives. I can just sit there forever and wait for a whiff. One whiff is all I need. Then I press R1 and start the weapon art, and it takes only one bad roll for you to lose 1000 and something health. That's what makes it very unique and interesting to play. You may call me tryhard and cancer, as long as you refer to this setup as Neptune's setup, I'm perfectly fine. That setup is mine and I enjoy it and I stand by it. At this point, I'm pretty certain that the damage on the weapon art will be nerfed at some point. Because let's face it, the average PvP player in Dark Souls 3 can't comprehend rolls. It's too hard for average PvP player to roll on reaction, and it will get a lot of those players killed very very quick, and people will complain, and FromSoft will likely listen. The best way to fix it is adjusting the damage on weapon art. It will not kill its unique playstyle, but it will definitely make it harder to abuse. Everybody will be happy. As of now, the setup I'm using offers unprecedented, unbelievable amount of roll pressure and mix-up potential on roll catches. This means that by altering R1 and weapon art with the correct read, I can counter any playstyle and any weapon setup. This means that in right hands, this weapon has an extremely high skill ceiling. And this is exactly what makes it so much fun to use, because it plays unlike any other weapon, since you have a lot of mix-up potential on roll catches. At high level, this weapon is extremely strong, and by mastering mix-ups on roll catches, you can achieve unbelievable results, and this is what makes it very, very, very competitive. If you have any questions regarding its usage in PvP or the ways you can counter it, make sure to leave a comment. I'll try to do my best and solve it for ya. Thank you for watching, make sure to support me on Patreon, and I'll see you next time.